Hello, denizens of the internet. Myself and others have railed at length about gender-swapping male superheroes. The infamous Nerdrotic even coined the term the MCU in reference to the feminization of Marvel's MCU, or Marvel Cinematic Universe, if you've been living in a dungeon somewhere. I've done my share of complaining, like my video on why Hollywood hates James T. Kirk. But I've always tried to put forward a hypothesis as to why. I've never delved into the neo-Marxist French philosopher debates because I don't know anything about them, or enough about that. But I don't believe it should come as a surprise to anyone that when you remove band class, home ec, shop, typing, sports, theater from the school curriculum, that you have to find something to replace it with. And unfortunately, the timing was such that all this woke nonsense filled the holes, and now this cohort of activists have graduated and have infiltrated the marketing, comics, tech, and entertainment businesses. It has so thoroughly penetrated these industries that you can have a capitalist powerhouse like Disney produce one woke failure, both artistically and financially, after another, only to have its CEO, Bob Iger, double down on creating garbage no one wants to watch in the service of this woke death cult. And ironically, because fealty to the woke agenda does not make for the creation of new IPs, the activists are content taking existing, beloved properties and twisting them into their fetid fetishes. And as these franchises burn, we are in a constant state of confusion, wondering where are the hated bean counters and why they don't put an end to this nonsense. One explanation is something a favorite commenter of mine, Camille Paglia, opined, I guess, more than a decade ago, that historically the movement towards androgyny occurs in late phases of culture. This is not a cause, but in the past it has coincided with the unraveling of civilizations. In early Greek art, men are robust. In later examples, men are lithe and gimpy. Heroic men in movies used to look like Clark Gable, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Clint Eastwood, Paul Newman, Henry Cavill, Jason Statham. Now they look like Timothée Chalamet. Or they're just straight up replaced by women. What about Tom Cruise, you ask? Ein Hollywood Berliners? Don't much like him, but he's old guard, short, and they hope he goes away soon. Chris Pratt? Oh, they really hate. The Fast and the Furious is replete with girl bosses. And you know the movies are fake. Not because of the ridiculous CGI car stunts, but because none of the women are on cell phones and putting up makeup at stoplights. I'm kidding. The late phases of culture, such as the Hellenistic period, Roman Empire, the decadent decade of Oscar Wilde of the 1890s, or Weimar Germany, the people of the time felt that they were sophisticated. More sophisticated than the usual rabble. Who thinks they are more cosmopolitan than us? Of course, the people who are race-swapping Ariel made Ray Palpatine indestructible and Luke Skywalker a wretched old beggar, stealthily moving Din Djarin into the background and replacing him with Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian, emasculating Henry Cavill's Witcher and his horse. My point is that the people doing these things are cultural snobs. This is why you're not seeing much in the way of treating audiences with respect, because they have no respect for us. And by us, I mean anyone not between 18 and 35. Camille views the trans fad as fashion for young people who simply feel alienated culturally. In the 50s, they would have been beatniks. In the 60s, hippies. Is there a parallel between puberty-blocking drugs taken now and the psychedelic drugs of the 60s? Quite likely. Camille isolates the cause of the present trans trend with the assault on masculinity. The expansion of women's rights also required the termination of men's rights. Cohabitating happily together was not an option. You see where I'm going here? The trans fashion in schools, the feminization of men, and the eradication of masculinity all go hand in hand. When you see Iron Man replaced by Iron Heart and Black Panther replaced by Shuri, this is all part of the same program that made Dylan Mulvaney a Bud Light spokesperson and sports bra model for Nike. The perfect weapon for trans rights activists that both feminizes men and erases women at the same time, all packaged into someone who resembles a stick bug. In entertainment, men are being defined out of existence. Toxic masculinity is used to elicit an emotionally negative reaction, like being called a racist. If one is to believe Paglia's thesis, all this now makes sense. It makes sense why so many women who define themselves as feminists are willing to erase their own sexual existence, which has always been a head-scratcher for me. It's why the writers of Star Trek Discovery cheered not just the inclusion of sexually diverse characters, but their need to talk about it endlessly because they are talentless writers and thought that was character development. So, are we at the late phases of our present culture? The end of Western civilization itself? Is a return to sanity just around the corner? I'm not optimistic. Social media has accelerated narcissism and mental health issues, and I'm sorry to say it's the girls out there that are taking the brunt of this. Sure, watching a 5'2", 90-pound woman in superhero spandex take out a 300-pound man is inspiring, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most women would prefer to see a sculpted, physical specimen of a man do it because the notion of a man that can protect them is more appealing. And not that we can't share the screen. The war on masculinity has been going on for a long time and will continue to go on. And our most effective weapon to fight this is to vote with our pocketbooks. Camille Paglia wrote that cultural decline coincided with art feminizing men. Is Hollywood leading this decline? What do you think? Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.